Greetings, everybody. Now, hope everyone is coping, keeping safe and coping as best as possible under the circumstances because there is extensive internet use because everyone is in isolation and the internet is our only windows to the world. So you'll have to forgive me if the connection is somewhat lagging. I had received a notification from Google that because of excessive internet use, the system is overwhelmed. So it might stream better when you listen to it after it's already been recorded and uploaded. But bear with me. These are trying times. Before we get into what I feel is a unique message and a constructive one, Hashem wants us to learn from everything that He throws at us. So I learned something new about Shabbos Hagadol in light of the coronavirus pandemic. Hashem Yatzilenu, that's driving us into our homes. I'm not the first one to comment how this is a little bit of reminiscent of the original Seder in Egypt, where we are confined to the homes, lest we get caught up in the plague, the mashchis that was hitting the Mitzrayim that night, the night that we had our very first Seder night. And we're going to talk more about that. But before we begin, because I want to end on a very inspiring note and a Torah Dika note, concentrating on the Divrei Torah that I want to share with you, things that hopefully you'll find enlightening and inspiring, I hope, and constructive. So I have to get certain things out of the way before we move our focus purely to Divrei Torah, and which everyone will understand their own way and apply their own way. And I have to say like this, that everyone surely remembers one of the classic stories that we read, in the in the few texts that are permitted for us to learn on Tisha B'Av. So on Tisha B'Av, Chazal outlawed learning so we should not in any way take our minds off Churban Abayis. But they did allow us to learn whatever relates to Churban Abayis, including the Agaditas on Churban Abayis and Gittin. So there's one key story over there that really is the key to a lot of other things that went on, in those stories that are in the Gemara and Gittin about Churban Abayis, and something which sets the tone for something that is recurrent in our history, sadly. There's a famous story of Marta bar Baisutz, a very rich woman who was hungry. There was starvation. We hope it doesn't happen to us here, and hopefully the president, Hashem, will guide him to keep supply lines open, and at least food production will go unabated and well supplied, Bezrat Hashem, right? Those trying times, there was a siege around Yerushalayim, there was a hunger. So Marta bar Baisutz is a very rich woman, accustomed only to the finest foods, sends her slave, servant, messenger to the market, and he going, bring me the great stuff, the fine flour bread that I'm most accustomed to. Comes back and says, that's all sold out, but there is the black bread, simpler bread. All right, go bring me that. He comes back, he says it's all sold out. But there's the barley bread. I'm skipping steps, right? Go bring me that. And then finally that's sold out, and she died of starvation. Or the starvation made her very weak, and something else killed her. But starvation definitely knocked down her immune system. Hashem Yirachim. So every time any thinking person reads that Gemara year in, year out, the question is always the same. right? Why was the servant so stupid? Why didn't he just grab whatever there is, right? He had to go back and ask her, and by the time he made it back, it was all sold out. And if the servant is either hopelessly stupid, or alternatively, he just was so afraid of his boss, he would not make any decisions on his own, lest she not be displeased. What was she thinking? She sees what's going on, you know, and nothing, you should have sent them back with instructions, and if that's sold out, grab whatever there is. What was she thinking? The answer is, and Forsham explained, sadly, no one was thinking. And, our minds are reactive. You know, we're not very proactive in our thinking, and we're going to come back to that. We think when we have to, and we think in response to the energies that are around us, whether they're concerns that are raised by society or something just slams us in the face and forces us to think, or there is such a thing as, the brain taps into the cosmic energies, and in response to that, it's always responsive. We think, right? And that's why that's the secret behind it. There's sometimes a global mentality, or the mentality of this generation. There's an energy floating around, either because people generated it or it's generated from Shemaim, and the mind responds to that and thinks in accordance with that. It takes effort for us to be proactive in our thinking and to actively reevaluate and things like what we must do. So, as the Mefarshim explain, God forbid when Kodesh Baruch Hu, unfortunately, because of our sins, decides that's it, punishment time, right? So part of the punishment is that we're not motivated to do tshuva. That's part of it. And that's, once because there probably were wake up calls that came beforehand that we ignored, right? You don't deserve to be woken up. So there's like the cosmic energy are somewhat, as it were, mind numbing. Not that God takes away our free will. He doesn't take away our free will, but we're not motivated to think, right? So, like, the woman thought it'll be okay. It'll be okay. It'll pass. It's a big deal. You know, if there isn't food now, there'll be food tomorrow. I don't have to buy this food I don't like eating. Yeah, honestly, there was apathy. Uh, we are told. I asked my own father, who was, he had a. I want to keep this brief, but at another time I'll tell an amazing story that what woke up my father's family. It's from Germany, you know, Beckhofen, city in Germany. What woke them up was that something happened to my father, a 3-year-old that was just in short, he was almost eaten alive by a dog that was sicked on him by a Hitler Youth, and that's what woke them up. Really. But I asked, well, why didn't the Jews get out in time? The Beckhofers got out on the last boat in '39. Really? And he said they were lucky to have this wake up call. Right? So they just couldn't ignore and be apathetic after that. They saw the barbaricism that, a 3-year-old boy was my father, was virtually eaten alive. And for 3 days, he hovered between life and death because a Hitler Youth had his dog attack him. And that woke them up. But my father explained the Jews were like asleep. They didn't believe it would happen. It's a phase, it's a craze, it'll pass. They mean the Ostjuden, the Jews from the East. There, I told the story. And I heard from other people, children of survivors from Poland, that there was some type of strange apathy that gripped people that they didn't rush, get out until it was too late. Sadly, you know, the writing was on the wall, and we have plenty of testimony that the Chafetz Chaim warned about it 10 years in advance. Not 10, yeah, almost 10 years in advance, like 7, 8 years before it all happened. Because when the time comes and you've ignored previous wake up calls, the cosmic energy is as such that it doesn't promote waking up. And that's a sign that, God forbid, the decree has been sealed. So we have to take this to heart that if we're apathetic to what's going on, to how the pandemic is catching on like wildfire, and sadly today, the father of a girl in my daughter's class was nifter from this. So now it's hitting close to home. We have to wake up. We have to wake up, and not waking up and not taking it seriously in a constructive way is the greatest indication that, God forbid, it's sealed. Right? So we really have to wake up before it's too late. God forbid. Paro refused to wake up. And after that, Hashem hardened his heart. You refuse to wake up, Hashem makes it less conducive to being awake. And then after that, he seals the ability to wake up. It's frightening. Let's wake up now. Uh, so far be it from me to give much. Like I said, I just want to get this out of the way, and then we'll concentrate on Divrei Torah. For Shabbos Hagadol, what else? What was nischadesh to me in light of our current situation, a new Havana in Shabbos Hagadol that's so apropos to this Shabbos Hagadol, that we're going to go through Shabbos Hagadol 2020. All right, so before we get to this, there the one mitzvah. There's plenty of mitzvahs, but amongst the mitzvahs that no one else could do for you is tshuva. And one of the actions that no one could be motzi you in, right, is cheshbon hanefesh. Everyone, yourself, what you need to improve. The story goes that the Baal Shem Tov was trying to explain this to his Talmidim, and for whatever reason, they didn't understand fully because he was saying it in a very advanced, philosophical, Kabbalistic way. And then in walked a guy, a fix-it man, looking for, looking for work. Do you have anything for me to fix? Baal Shem Tov said, I have nothing to fix. And the guy said, that's ridiculous. There's always something to fix. You just need to remember about it, realize it. And with that, he stormed out. And the Baal Shem Tov turned to his tongue and said, oh, that's what I meant. This man said, Hashem sent him, to give the message. There's always something to fix. You just have to, not forget about it, acknowledge it. And, to go to the opposite side of the political spectrum, for lack of a better word, the Goyim in Sefer Mishlei says, our whole purpose of having lifespan is for tikkun hamidus, and you're still alive because there's some midah you still need to fix. And therefore, tikkun hamidus, self-improvement, is till the day you die. That's the whole purpose of lifespan. If you're still alive, there's still a midah to fix. So don't say, ain't nothing to fix. I mean, as I'm talking, I'm sorry, Hashem is sending me, ideas as I'm talking. Can't help it. Can't shut the mind off. I once read in one of the first biographies that came out from Rav Shach that the famous Mashgiach of Ponevezh, who we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to because he reprinted and popularized the works of the Ramchal. I learned Ramchal from all his Sfarim, from all his publications of the Ramchal, and that's Rav Chaim Friedlander, right? The man who reintroduced Ramchal to us in the last couple of generations. So the man was dying, terrible machla. And he walked into Rav Shach and he had looked, terrible. Just came back from another round of chemo. And Rav Shach was learning with someone else. And the observer who observed the story did not hear what Rav Chaim Friedlander said. But he saw that the person who was Rav Shach was learning with, that person burst out crying. And Rav Shach just pounded on the table and said, Tikkun hamidus. Tikkun hamidus, tikkun hamidus, self-improvement, and correcting one's character. And, Rav Chaim Friedlander, nodded and left the room. So the observer asked after Rav Shach finished learning with his chavrusa, he asked, what happened over there? What did Rav Chaim Friedlander say? What caused you to cry? Shach started screaming, in a constructive way. Tikkun Amidas. So Rav Chaim Friedlander had walked into Rav Shach to tell him that his doctor said he has 2 weeks to live. That's all he has left. What should he work on? He only has 2 weeks left. And Rav Shach said, Tikkun Amidas. Shach wished him a refuah shlema, but if you ask me what a person works on till the moment he dies is Tikkun Amidas. You have only 2 weeks left. You have only a day left. Tikkun Amidas, there's always something to do. All right, so, but who knows what to fix? Don't wait for some rabbi to tell you. He doesn't know. You know what you need to fix. Right? We don't know why Hashem is doing the coronavirus. We don't know why the Holocaust happens, and we don't need to know. We need to know, what do I need to fix, and you know that. You know that. And the Chazal tells us, pish pesh v'lo matzah yitla b'divrei Torah. If you examine it, can't see anything to fix, go back to learning harder. Go back to learning harder. It's bittul Torah. First explain, your mind is corrupt. If you don't see what you need to fix, learn a lot of Torah to straighten out your head, and then you'll find what you need to fix. The most common explanation. You have to find what to fix. And if you can't honestly see what you need to fix, you have to learn your head off till you fix your way of thinking and you realign your values, and then you'll see what you need to fix. Right? Aside from getting the schus of Talmud Torah. So, but I just want to share with you one last idea before we get to the Divrei Torah from the Alter of Novardok. Talking about the difficulty of Cheshbon HaNefesh. People honestly say, hey, I examine myself. I really don't know what I'm doing wrong, what I need to improve. So, says the Alter of Novardok, a parable, but a historical one. Just like we had in America, so also in Russia, there was a prohibition period, right? Whether they were outlawing consumption of alcohol totally, or they just wanted to tax it like crazy. I'm not clear from the content, but there was something like a prohibition. And people were doing, bathtub gin, whatever. They were just had their, as it were, meth lab of the day that they did underground, because they wanted to drink and they certainly want to be taxed on it, whatever the issue was. So, of course, there was, special investigators appointed to, catch the people, catch the bootleggers, right? Catch the guys who were producing, the bathtub vodka, right? So, so in the story, the mashal that the Alter Novardok gives, someone, snitched on his neighbor. So an investigator comes to the door, and the guy opens the door and says, well, what can I do for you, officer? Listen, I hear that there's illegal production of alcohol going on over here. And the person says, comrade, I'm with the government on this. Alcohol, the root of all evil. Oh no, I'm with you on this. I'm totally pro the prohibition laws. And to prove it, I'm going to help you search my premises, just to show how, I'm totally on board with the government rules against alcohol. And he takes, gives him a tour of the house. And not only that, he shows him a hidden shed in the backyard that was behind bushes, takes him in there, and there's nothing. He shows him a trap door that leads to a hidden cellar. He takes them down there, and nothing. And he takes him into, into the attic, and behind a false wall in the attic. He takes him to all types of places the cop would have never found by himself. And the cop is really impressed and said, comrade, Mother Russia needs more people like you, good citizens like you, right? That, keep the laws. You've convinced me. I mean, you took me places that I could never find myself. I'm convinced you're clean. Thing is, there's one place he didn't take him. He didn't take them into behind the fake wall of the coat cupboard, right? Where he had his, whole brewery, meth lab going, right? Says the Altar of Navarre. This game that this guy played with the cop, we play with ourselves, right? We say, I'm doing cheshbon nefesh. I'm looking, and you say, and you look, you go through every chamber of your heart. You ask me about, you're better on the chaber. No, I don't lend with ribbis, and I don't cuss, and I don't, And you look, I exhausted myself. I searched myself with a fine tune comb, just like this guy took them through all those nooks and crannies and alleyways. Said, "Oh man, you know, this was a thorough search, and there's nothing here." We play saying to ourselves, "Do a thorough search," except that one chamber in the heart, that one closet where the skeleton really is that we don't have the courage to open, but we rationalize that. Look, I searched so hard. You exhausted yourself soul searching where you knew there was nothing to find. Right? So you exhausted yourself there to rationalize not opening those little corners where there really is a skeleton, where there really is what to fix. So what we need, my friends, is courage, right? Don't wait for a rabbi to give you a magic answer. Cheshbon nefesh, tikkun mitzvot, it's your job, right? You just need the courage to do it. We need the courage. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to Divrei Torah on Shabbos Hagadol, which will go full circle back to our current situation. The classical question that I have dealt with in the past, and on my website, which you see on the upper corner of the screen, right? evanshashia.com. There's first of all, there's a whole Pesach reader there you can download, and there's plenty of stuff on Shabbos Hagadol, and every year we deal with it on a different angle. The obvious question that any thinking person should ask. We know that Shabbos Hagadol is to commemorate a special mitzvah they had just in that generation. It was a special halacha for the very first Pesach. Mishchu v'khu. Pull and take. They had to separate the Korban Pesach on the 10th of Nisan. Special halacha. Mishchu v'khu. And we have a tradition that on that year, the 10th of Nisan came out on Shabbos. Right? So therefore, that was the Shabbos before Pesach. That year, and this was the Shabbos before Yitzias Mitzrayim. Therefore, Shabbos Hagadol is in commemoration of that. Right. The classical question that we ask every year, and every year there's another answer, because Torah is infinitely deep. There's always another angle, and there's a unique angle for our situation also that occurred to me today. So the classical question is, first of all, why did that generation alone have to do it? You would think if it's a necessary halacha, it should be necessary for all generations, right? And if it's A, why is that? And B, if it's if it happened on the 10th of Nisan, so you commemorate 10th of Nisan. Who cares that day happened to have been Shabbos? They were commemorate on the 10th of Nisan. So when we commemorate an event, we commemorate the date, not the day. Right? Everyone admits that Shavuos, that the Torah was given on Shabbos. Right? We don't commemorate Shabbos. We commemorate the 6th of Sivan. Right? It's Chag Matan Torah. It goes by the date, not by the day. Right? So as that being an example. So why is the commemoration for that event, Shabbos? So, as is well known, the necessity for that in that generation. Rashi brings the saying of Rav Matya ben Chorosh, there in Parshas Bo, and those psukim. It says, why did they have a special need for it in that generation? Starting from that issue, says listen, we needed merit to get out of Egypt. Right? So we needed two mitzvahs, right? Dam Pesach and Dam Mila, right? We allude to that by the Haggadah on the it's alluded to the Pasuk Yecheskel, by your blood you will live, by your blood you will live. Dam Pesach and Dam Mila, right? Bris Mila, and they did brought Korban Pesach, but the fishy shtufim ba'avodah zara. But since we were still steeped in avodah zara, right? So which would presumably the idea being, as we've explained in the past, that would bar mitzvahs from being effective. Culturally, we were like goyim, right? Steeped in avodah zara, just like them. And if a guy does bris milah, it's nothing. If a guy does korban pesach, he's not allowed to. Right, so to make us different, so Hashem gave us that special mitzvah of mishchu v'ku, pull and take, and the double lashon of this pull, as in pull yourselves away from avodah zara. The kulachem tzon shel mitzvah, and take the sheep, the goat or the sheep, for the sake of mitzvah. So pull away and take. Sur meira, pull away. V'asei tov kolachem tzon shel mitzvah. There's another lashon Chazal I saw that mishchu yedechem me'avodah zara, pull your hands away from avodah zara. Pull atzmechem, take yourself la'avodas Hashem, right, to serve Hashem, right. But it's the same gist. So that's which answers why it's like a double lashon, pull and take. No, so pull goes pull away from avodah zara. Chu, right? Take yourselves tzon shel mitzvah, right? So that's the asay tov aspect. Now, positively, consecrate this for a korban, or take yourselves and connect. Consecrate yourselves for Hashem. And so mishchu means to pull away, and chu means right to take actively for the good, for avodas Hashem. Sheep, or taking sheep also represent taking ourselves. Okay. So I want to raise a question, right? And that is, so in this context, chu means, take yourselves, connect. Taking as in connecting. Right? I'm going to show you in the Torah where chu means just the opposite. Well, first of all, just to bring a proof that chu means to connect, it's also the biblical word for marriage. Ki yikach ish isha, as the Gemara says, kicha kicha mitzdei Ephron. Yikach, right? Marriage is called yikach, union, right? So chu, social mitzvah. So that would support, the way the Midrash is learning, right? The way Rav Matcha ben Harsh is learning that Rashi brings. Right? However, now I'm going to show you a case where it means just the opposite. It means to separate, splinter off. Vayikach Korach, right? Right, Korach took, right? So, Uncle said Vit Paleg, he broke off, right? Right, and and the other Mepharshim go in that spirit and said he took himself away. So, he took himself away from Klal Yisrael, right? So, hey, so kicha means the opposite. Kikach could mean not to join together. It means to separate. How are we going to reconcile this? What does kicha mean? Kicha means to unite and connect, right? What does it mean to split off? Right? The truth is like this, and you know what? We'll raise it just in context of what's happening right here, right now. I'm speaking to you with the power of the internet. And we all know these last few weeks, our kids remain connected to school for both Kodesh and Chol through the internet. We get a lot of information through the internet. So one might say, internet's a good thing. Right? But we also know, sadly, internet is also a way to access all the schmutz in the world. Right? Lots of bad stuff. Is it good? Is it bad? Chazal tell us, Mishnah and Ovis. Kol Knessia, Sheila, Shem, Shemayim, Sof, Mitzkayim, they change this. and l'shem shamayim ein sof l'skai. There's ingathering. That's for the sake of heaven, and that will endure. There's like getting together. That's not for the sake of heaven, and that's not going to endure. Right? There's getting together, right? That's totally negative. There's getting together. That's totally positive. Right? And the moral on that Mishnah that we just quoted, from Ovid says, greatest example in history, right from pretty much the dawn of civilization, virtually, first major civilization after the flood, Migdal Bavel. They got together for a destructive purpose. That's Knessia She'enu L'Shem Shemayim. That was an ingathering not for the sake of heaven. It was Naaseh Lanu Shem. It was to self-aggrandizement and to push God out. Like the getting together of a leftist atheistic group. They'll band together for they call a progressive agenda. It's they get together against Hashem. Right? And that is Ein Sof L'Itzkayim. Right? But there's a Knesset, the Shem Shamayim, and that's lashon of Beit HaKnesset, shul. The Jews get together. The Shem Shamayim, the Koach, the Beit Knesset is the Tzibur. The Tzibur congregates there. The Shem Shamayim. Right? There's the getting together. L'Shem Shamayim. That's not L'Shem Shamayim. That could be the worst thing. And that's what the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, that Knessia, Kinus, getting together is good for the tzaddikim and good for the world. Right? Pizur, to be scattered, that's good for the Rishoyim and good for the world. Let the Rishoyim not get together, because they're getting together, it's just bad stuff. Let the tzaddikim get together. Right? When they get together, it amplifies their power of doing good, and we know that the Shechina dwells, on a tzibur, right? But that's when we get together, l'shem shamayim. When we get together, not l'shem shamayim, horrible things happen. Horrible things. That's why the Rishonim Dafka should be scattered. The Democratic Party, Bezrat Hashem, I wish both Bernie and Biden hatzlacha in ripping the party apart. Both have hatzlacha, so the party falls apart. Pizur, Yafel Rishonim v'Yafel Loila. Right? Hashem should help. Right, and that's what we say on Mizmor Shir, interestingly. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos. We talk about Shabbos HaGadol. Right, Mizmor Shir Shabbos. So we say, we start talking about the evildoers. And now, in what context? Yit Pordu Kol Palev. All evildoers should separate. Shabbos is to get together. And that's what we say in the first Davenut Tzfar. You say the Zohar. Kegavdin Misyachta Echad of Yisachis Atata. Echad, right? Getting together. That's for the good. Things all unite. And Besod Hashem, Echad, Ushmochad, everything comes to unity. That's for the good. And in Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos, it's about Yispardu Kol Palev. Right? And the same thing is, to bring it, to Yitzias Mitzrayim. Right? We know, and we speak about this also. Please go to my website. You'll hear audios on it and download the reader. There's a lot of talk about this and what says, what's explained at length in Kisvei Ari that, in Mitzrayim, the Dibur was in Golos. Our power of speech was in Golos. It was speech. Wonderful thing, right? And it's called the speech was in Golos, before he says, because we didn't use our speech for tefillah. We didn't use our speech for divrei Torah. Right? Use our speech before Yitzias Mitzrayim. Speech was used the way animals, make mating calls and grunts and noises to warn each other, to express hunger and to warn each other from danger. And you don't need language for that. You don't need the koach hadibur. The koach hadibur is for a much greater goal, for Torah, for tefillah, and also to build a society based on ideas. Express ideas. And it'll be built on ideas and ideals. Right? And Yitzias Mitzrayim liberated our Dibur. Marbel Lesaper, Yitzias Areza Meshubach. Right? That was the greatness of Yitzias. The Dibur, it's Pesach. The mouth, sach, speaks in divrei Torah. Right? You know, all right. So speech is a wonderful thing. But then there's lashon hara. Right? Worst thing, the biggest sin. The Rambam brings la halacha in Hilchos Deis and in the end of and also in the end of Hilchos Tumifras. It's worse than avodas ragios and shvichos damim. Right? It's to use the power of speech negatively. Right? And now, an amazing thing I heard from my Rebbe, Moshe Shapiro. He told us in share name. I think it was the Maram Burtil. It was either him or one of the other Mefarshim on the Sefer Yetzirah that say lashon, tongue. Lashon, actually has a root, lush, to need, because you're supposed to use the power of speech to make a chevra, but a chevra based on ideas and ideology and high values. And lashon hara, they're lashon hara is not immediately divisive. In the end, everyone dies, everyone loses. But by the get go, they're cliques. They're the people that they get together speak lashon hara, right? They get together for an hour because speak lashon hara. You need someone who's willing to listen, right? So people get together, and you build a rotten society. That first, there's people excluded who are the ones who are immediately hurt, the ones who are slandered, but eventually that whole society falls apart. So it gets kneaded together, but in a way that ain't sofal iskayim, and everyone loses, not just the guy who was slandered. Everyone, because I'll say, lashon hara kills all three parties: slanderers, the slanderee, and the one who listened to it all. Everyone loses. But initially, you get together, and it's in a very bad, rotten way that ultimately falls apart. Only the good endures, right? And by the way, the Maharal says the same idea, by Churban Habayis. It was all about, the story was someone publicly humiliated someone in front of, So that's even worse than lashon hara. Publicly humiliating is lashon hara, but it's done in public, right? And that guy, Bar Kamsa, went and spoke lashon hara about the Jews to the Caesar, and says the Maharal, it's all rooted in Kamsa, al Kamsa, Bar Kamsa, Yerushalayim, Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. So why is Kamsa guilty? Kamsa is the biggest victim. He was the guy who wasn't invited to the party. He's the guy who went to bed hungry that night. Bar Kamsa was the guy who was mistakenly invited instead. Kamsa was not invited. So why is Kamsa guilty? We say al Kamsa u Bar Kamsa Yerushalayim. Says the Maharal, the word Kamsa means group, right? Kamsa was in a clique together with the guy who made the big party. Bar Kamsa, like the name, could literally be translated outside. Bar, outside. Kamsa, outside of the group, outside of the komets. Right? It was all cliques. Right? This society versus that social circle versus that social circle. Decrepit society. Right? Decrepit society is horrible. Right? The decrepit society is the society that is the language that circulates around them is lashon hara, right? Speaking negatively of others and other bad stuff, right? So there's the power of society that's positive. There's the power of society that's negative. The internet, going back to our example, internet, right? You net things together. That could be wonderful. Could also be the worst thing. I want to read you a Rambam. Please bear with me. The Mefurish Rambam, Perek Vav of Hilchos Deis, Halacha Aleph. So it is human nature. It is the way we're wired, hardwired from the time. This is the way we're created. Says Rambam. This is like don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The way we are created. It is our God-given nature, God-given human nature, that we are, in our opinions and in our deeds, dragged after our friends. and our, acquaintances, and we just do like the people of our country. They say, when in Rome, do like the Romans. Yeah, it's natural. You are influenced by your society, your friends, neighbors, and your general society. And therefore, and therefore, because that's human nature, so now use it to your advantage and connect yourself to tzaddikim. Sit by chachamim. So you should that way learn by osmosis from what they do. So you'll learn by observation, but also you just won't be able to help being swept up by their positive influence. And you have to keep distance. Social distancing. Social distancing. You have to distance yourself from the evildoers that go in darkness, so you should not learn from what they do. This is what Shlomo said, right? That someone who goes with the wise, he will himself be wise. And someone who hangs out with the fools, he's going to go down. Va'omer, right? And also the pasuk says, first pasuk, that, lo achbat tzasar derech hatayim derech mochav lotzim lo yashav. Moshe to him. Praises so that he doesn't sit with the fools, that are idle. He doesn't go with the wicked, and right. He separates himself in every way, shape, or form from people who are wicked, or people who are foolish, or people who are idle. Listen to what the Rambam paskins. If you are in a province where they have bad customs, and the people there don't go in a good way, you should leave. You have to move. Go to a place where the people are tzaddikim and go in good ways. And if all the provinces that he knows and heard about, they go in a bad way, like it is, Ram saying in his day, like unfortunately is our situation, since the Rambam on his time. So let's say you cannot go to a province which they have good customs because of there's war in the world. There's legions that marauding legions, or you're sick. Yeshiv levado yechidi, sit alone. Sit alone. Isolate yourself. Social distancing. Right? King Shenemar, as the Prophet says, Yeshiv bara v'yidom, sit alone and keep quiet. Let's say people were so evil and they just don't let you isolate yourself. They knock a door and said, be a part of us. If you're not with us, then you're against us, or they use social pressure. Get it? Social pressure. You're a nerd. Don't be such a nerd. Don't be such a, wuss, whatever they call you, right? And they just don't let you isolate yourself. Then go live in a cave. Go live in the desert. But don't conduct yourself in evil path. Right? That the Nevi'im have said. I can't remember exactly what it pasuk. I can't remember. It's the famous pasuk. I should live in the desert. Right? Amazing. It's all Perek Vav, right? And to just further quote another Rambam, this Rambam is in his Pirush on Avos, and he quotes from the Greek. He says the philosophers have already agreed this is not, something that any truth-seeking, intelligent human being would admit to. There are three types of friendship. What about friendship? What friendship is friendship? There are three friendship. There's ava latanu, chaver latanu. You just get pleasure hanging out with these people. They're cool, or you feel good hanging out with them. That's That's the lowest level of friendship. Now, that's a low level of friendship whether you're hanging out with a good person or a bad person. It's still a low level of friendship, even if the people you hang out with are good people. Right? Right? Then there's chaver le'ezer, right? You're friends because you help each other. And that already, we're talking about goodness, talking about help. Guy needs help. He helps you, you help him. But then there's the highest form of friendship. Chaver ledavar na'ala, being a friend for a worthy cause, a exalted cause, a high cause. Chaver ledavar na'ala, right? That's the highest form of friendship. And that's what our Koach HaDibur was liberated for, not to be slanderers and not to talk nonsense. Right? Our Koach HaDibur was to build a society of Chaver L'Davar Nala, a society based on big ideas. Torah society. In the words of Sadia Gaon, Ein Amenu Uma El B'Tos, what makes us a nation special. It's our Torah. That's our national fabric. It's not that we're a nation because we share same land. We don't. We're scattered throughout the world. What makes us one nation is our Torah. We share an ideology. So, in our current situation, and I'm not belittling, in any way, the danger of the virus, and like I said, this has hit home. Right now, my daughter, the whole Zoom class, the rest of the day after this was just, counseling, for all the girls. Tragic, tragic, traumatic. Right? So, but, of the few people who have actually addressed the issue was our president that said, listen, this social distancing could, if it goes on too long, too much, it could be worse than the virus itself. Right? If society falls apart, so first the economy falls apart, then society falls apart. A lot of people die through that, die of starvation, die of poverty. There's the depression, there's the looting, there's the drug addictions. We spoke about it today also. The press is one of the people with the courage to talk about this is, it itself is the plague, a plague. It is, the only way to go with the hope that it's going to stop the plague and then we could get back to normal. But if it goes on infinitum, it could be deadlier than the plague. Right? Social distancing. Right? And we have to maybe change our. This is just an idea, like I said earlier to give this session. Right? Far be it from me to tell anybody, how to improve themselves. That's everyone's own job. You know yourself. And I also say in the positive, some person may judge you and tell you you're bad and this is what you need to improve, and you know your situation, right? That he's wrong. He's wrong. He's not being Daniel Kafschos, right? It is not the way he understands. It's not the way it happened, and it's not. And you don't paskin the way he paskins, or that you're an honest. So you're the one who can judge himself most favorably, and you're the one who also, by the same token, has to be the one that nails yourself. You really do. It's our job. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't listen to anybody else. Unless it's your Rebbe. And Rebbe means, by the way, that that doesn't just know Torah. He knows you heart and soul. And the kesher between you and him is a Torah kesher, but there's a kesher. So he really knows you. He's not just judging you from afar. Right? Okay, so your Rebbe can give you tochacha, or a very close friend can give you tochacha. He really knows you, and that's assuming that friend is a good friend with a straight head, and he really knows you. Right, but otherwise, don't wait for someone else to tell you what's wrong with you. And also things that people might not approve of about you might be actually what you do right if you have bad friends. Right, and that's the point we're trying to get to. Right, what is the sign that's being sent to us from heaven? The message of social distancing. How this has to do with Shabbos Hagadol. Kach means to indeed take. means to take. That's there's a unity between the taker and the taken. But that Korach made fake unity. He said he was fighting for equality. Kol Yaakov Kadosha. He's fighting for unity, and he got a band of men around him. But it was all called machlokas. He said it was unity, and it was really machlokas. Right? Because to get together in a bad way is machlokas, and ultimately apikorsos, because he was contesting the authenticity of Moshe's nevuah. So getting together, dibur like Torah, tefillah, right? Making a society, al davar nala, right? Lashon tov, as opposed to kesher shel rishoyim, right? Moshav leitzin, and all these things. So we need to get it straight. We have to right now. All our connections, the social distancing, our social connections are being undone, right? And that could be the best thing that ever happened to us if when we restart, we make sure that we're going to only be connected to good people, Talmidei Chachamim, Yirei Shamayim, and anyone we had a toxic relationship with, right? Whether it's emotionally toxic or spiritually toxic, and emotionally toxic leads to spiritual toxicity also. We're not going to resume those relationships. Right? This is what happened in Egypt all those days ago. Right? They had to practice social distancing and cultural distancing for the Egyptians. Mishchu, pull yourselves away from Avodah Zarah and the whole Avodah Zarah culture, the Egyptian culture. Separate, right? Oh, and after you separate yourself from the negative, you could have the khu will be positive. The connections that you'll make will only be positive, as opposed to having negative connections. Right? The kicha, the khu will be positive if you indeed do the mishchu. You make sure to pull away from all that's negative and all those toxic relationships. Surely you will have khu. You'll have the bonding that's positive. So that's what they had to do before Yetziat Mitzrayim. They had to do social distancing from the Egyptians, and that way they could have the positive connection amongst them, united around the Korban Pesach, right? Right, that minui, right? Yeah, they stayed in their houses that night, but the people in houses were bonded, by the common goal of all being pointed on that Korban Pesach, right? And that's part of the halacha, says the Maharal. You shouldn't break a bone cord. Korban Pesach is about achdus, togetherness, right? But only after mishchut, and that's what they needed in that generation. They had to separate from the Egyptians, right? And we don't need it for future generations because we're already separate from all the other nations of the world. And Shabbos is the separating factor. Let's go deeper into this right now. Shabbos, right? Right? Shabbos, right? It's a day of mishchu, right? We pull ourselves away from all malacha, lo sasa kol malacha, right? So we don't engage. We pull away from the secular world, we pull away from the rat race that is our career, and all the other distractions. We pull away, So come the Nevi'im and say, that on Shabbat, you know what? It's not enough just to not do malacha. Don't talk. Sanctify your dibur. Don't talk about anything that's austere to do on Shabbos. Don't even talk about it either. So you're really withdrawn from it, because your mind's not on it, right? You don't talk business on Shabbos. It includes also not the lashon of Chazal's lo yedibuchar Shabbos kedibuchar b'chol. You should talk differently. They say, I'm told in Volozhin, they used to speak Hebrew on Shabbos. It should be different, more holy, right? And that's it. So Shabbos is a day of withdrawing, mishul, right, from everything that's secular. And it goes all the way to even the way you speak. Right? About Lashon Tov. Right? Only talk about Torah, Tefillah, Inyane Shabbos, right? All the way from the secular. And then you could be Zochar the Kicha. We say all the time that, the Rabbeinu Avram ben Arambam, Hakdama Sefer Maspik says, on Shabbos you can merit to feel unmitigated divine connection with Hashem to the point that you don't even feel your body anymore. Your stomach is hungry and crying for food, and you don't even feel it. You don't feel you're hungry, even though your stomach's empty and growling. You don't see the wall in front of you. State of Oz Tis'ana Gal Hashem, which is the continuation of that pasuk that if you're mitzvah coming davar, you keep everything that the Nevi'im say to make Shabbos different, right? V'karoso Shabbos oneg Oz Tis'ana Gal Hashem. That if you really use the mishku, you're zocha to the khu. You connect. So Shabbos for sure is a recharge of what we did all those years ago, of separating from the secular world, from the social distancing from the corrupt society, right? And then and once you do that, so you can make healthy connections with your fellow Jew and with Hashem. That's what we do on Shabbos. Withdraw from the secular world. It's mishchu and it's khu. And we go back to Hashem. I have to say, I'm not giving anybody Musar, but you have to ask yourself, right? Now, is Shabbos the way it really should be? Or maybe, you go to a shul. I'm not saying any shul. You talk during davening. That maybe, and you talk when it's also to talk. You talk and it's disturb someone else, in which case you would have been better off staying home. Your tefillah would have been better, and other people's tefillah would have been better. You go to a place where you talk. The kiddush after davening. What type of chevra is it? Getting together. Is it co-ed? Are the genders too overly mixed and frivolous? Is the separation between the genders that called kedusha, is it up to par? And if it is, and the people you sit with, business, you talk lashon hara, we talk divrei Torah, chizah, Yonei Shabbos. This is the cheshbon nefesh we have to make, right? This is a Shabbos of social distancing. We're Shabbos duch. We want to come to Pesach where we want to say kol dichven yesvei, kol dich yetzei v'yivtzach, right? We want to open our doors wide, and we can't do it this year, right? And maybe we'll be zocha. Who knows? If we do Shabbos right, Shabbos Haggadah right, just like it was a hachana for Pesach all those years ago. Maybe if we do the Shabbos, who knows, right? And we'll be able to open the door and make achdus, that everyone gets together. It's one big family around the Korban Pesach, right? We should only be. Remember, Mashiach come in a moment, right? All this Mashiach talk, we should be talking this way 24/7, 365 days a year. That's the din of, we should always be missing him, not just missing him when things are bad. Right? The din that he could come any day is all the time. And certainly if it's a sorrow, we should never lose hope that he could come, supposed to be, feeling the need for him. Right? So who knows? Maybe if we do the shot, we're doing mishchu khu, we're forced to socially distance ourselves from our regular chevra. But it's a time to reevaluate whether our social interactions are really what they should be. It's going to force us maybe also to focus on where our interactions should be. Right? Am I giving enough attention to my wife and children that I'm now stuck with? Right? So time to reevaluate, for society to critically reevaluate, right? Our societies, our social grouping, a lot of it's nonsense, a lot of it's politics in the worst way, not even politics that makes any real ideological difference, just hatred, one-upmanship. We have to use Shabbos Haggadah for mishchu, right? Take advantage of being withdrawn to make a cheshbon nefesh, whether when we are with our friends, are we really nizer to be totally withdrawn from the work week, from our career, from our business, and from any type of dvarim b'teilin, right? Shabbos Kodesh. Are we really knowing Kedusha on Shabbos? You know, Omatzom Shata Motze Geder Erva. Shomata Motze Kedusha. Where there's barriers against promiscuity. That's what Kedusha is. Are we careful about that on Shabbos? By the Kiddush, this, groups. Are we careful? I'll just tell you one thing. Something to think about. We can't even have guests, right? Even guests that you're sure aren't infected. I want to tell you a story, and I say this to my Savior, and people find it so unrelatable, but maybe there's something wrong with us. When I was a Bacher in Israel, I used to learn with Rosh Shiva. I did schools to learn with Yaakov Weinberg, and everyone knows I put out a sefer based on his teachings on Yud Ikrim. I was very close to him. And even though I was unmarried, I was younger than most people that were officially in the Rosh Yeshivas Chabura, since I learned with him, I always took the liberties of walking into any shiur he gave to them. Because I was close to him. If I wanted to tell me this is for the Younger Light, Rav Yaakov Weinberg would not let them throw me out. Right? Baruch Hashem. So he called the Kollel, the Avrechim. I went. Want to hear what? I always wanted to hear what Rav Yaakov Weinberg had to say. Right? So he said like this. He looked around the room. It was like an uncomfortable silence. He said, "Listen, I don't want to be Makabel Lashon Hara, but I have to mention something. I have to mention something because a lot of people say it, and I'm choshesh, and I hope it's not true. But I'm told that families, you guys are very close knit chevra, and you invite invite each other for meals on Shabbos. You invite your friend and his wife, and then they invite you. And I heard that people say, I don't want to believe it, but I heard, right, that a man will call another man's wife by her first name. I'm shocked. I don't want to believe it happened. There's no such thing. It has to be awkward. That's Geder Ereva. You shouldn't be familiar with your friends, whether you could call her by her first name. It should always be awkward. It should be awkward, right? That's Geder Ereva. And I'm sure you don't do it, but since so many people say that's what goes on, I thought I'd just like, aim Mizarz and Mizuras. And everyone walked out of there thinking, what is this? And I'm sure people listening to this right now are saying, where's that guy living? Right? Something wrong with him or something wrong with us? Right? We have to really evaluate. Society is what tells us is of concern and what's of not concern. Which chumras we should be zealous about and which halachas mefurashas we should ignore. All right? Society, Rambam says, like we read it, Perek Vav Hilchos Deis Halacha Aleph. Society is a influencer, and it's our nature that God created us with to be influenced by our society. We have to take advantage of social distancing, critically reevaluate before that when it's over and should be Bimhera B'Yameinu and maybe even before Shabbos should be Zocha, that should be over. When we resume getting back, first of all, we should resume with Mashiach Tzidkenu, who will unite us in the Derech HaTorah and build a society that's Knessia L'Shem Shamayim, and that we're bound together just by pure, unmitigated values of the Torah. Halavai, right? But we'll get together when we resume. Let's not go back to all this. Let's be critical about the way our society was before it was forcibly ripped under, and disintegrated. Let's not just go back to all ways. Let's critically pick and choose who we're friendly with. Right? That doesn't mean being rude to anyone. That you're not being rude. And if a guy ever needs a favor, of course you do a favor. But you have to know who you, without being rude to anybody, right? Who you hang out with, who you want to be associated with. And if you're all well-meaning people, so let's say let's reevaluate. Let's not just go back to our old habits. Let's reassemble the group. No talking during davening. And when we sit together by kiddush, the men and women sit separate, right? And when we sit together, it's only divrei Torah, nothing about business, that the chibur should be lidover nala, and maybe that if we do that, maybe we'll also be zocha to real avas Yisrael, because you're going to like people l'shem shamayim, because they're Jewish, because they're bonim lamakom, not because they like you, and they do the types of things that you want to be associated with, or they're cool. Right? You like them because it's the emes, right? And then you'll see a lot of the political cliques disappear, and then we'll be zocher with that to the real achdus that oz efa kulam safa brura likra kulam b'shem Hashem u'la'avdo shchem ech. Thank you very much. And go to the website, and there's a whole sefer for download for free on Pesach, 18 chapters. Enjoy. Go to the website, download whatever you want, and we should only hear Basuras.